Sitting in the middle of June, and boy, does it feel like it. You'll notice skies a bit milky today. We're starting to see a little bit of that Saharan dust settle in. Much more of that to come next week. So for the rest of the week, I think it's really just going to be about the heat. Actual air temperatures sitting in the upper 80s, lower 90s. Currently 90 degrees here in Houston, 90 for our friends out in Katy. Factor in that humidity, and you can add about 10 degrees. It feels anywhere from 97 to 102 degrees. Please be careful. Your forecast afternoon forecast looking like mid 90s. Factor in that humidity, feeling up to 104. So maybe skip the playground, opt for a splash pad instead. As we head through the next several days, you're going to continue to see temperatures in the mid 90s, feeling up to 106. That summer sizzle sticking around as we head into the weekend. So our forecast very much not changing day to day. In fact, even as we look ahead to the weekend, staying rain free. But the Saharan dust, that's really going to increase come Monday. Bill, we've got much more on that full forecast coming up.
All right, we'll see you in a bit.
To drink water before you're even exposed to the heat.
You've been preaching that.
Yes.
Since months. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It's so important because it's really the secret key. Like any secret tip, drink water before mid-90s, 96 to 94 degrees. Factor in that humidity, feeling closer to 106. So the reason why it's so hot right now, we've got a high pressure system sitting in the desert Southwest. This is acting as a heat dome. As it pushes its way to the east, this is going to create with it intense heat here in Texas, but it also prevents us from seeing rainfall. When you've got a heat dome, that leads to sinking air, and that means less cloud cover and virtually no rain chances. In fact, rainfall forecast over the next week. This is that heat dome I'm talking about. No rain forecast anywhere within this area here in Texas, which means it's going to be hot. It's going to be dry. We're going to have to be keeping an eye on the tropics, but even their development, it's actually going to be because of the Saharan dust. We talk about this every single summer, and quite literally, it's dust that gets picked up by the trade winds, and it travels thousands of miles across the Atlantic every single summer. As it does, it brings with it incredibly dry air. Think of the dust like cedar wood chips. If you throw wood chips on the ground, that's going to absorb up all the water and moisture. Dust does the exact same thing, but to moisture in our atmosphere. Without that tropical moisture in the atmosphere, we're not going to see thunderstorms, and that also prevents tropical development. So hurricanes and tropical storms really can't form when this dust is in our atmosphere. You'll notice a thicker plume reaching the Houston area by Monday, and that's going to be with us Monday and Tuesday, which means likely our skies are going to start to get pretty milky. It's not out of the question that air quality can be reduced, so more than likely folks who suffer from respiratory problems such as asthma will be telling you to stay inside on Monday and Tuesday. But remember that the Saharan dust also does a lot of good. It prevents hurricanes. It also creates really vibrant sunrises and sunsets as light bounces off that dusty particles. And finally, it helps our marine ecosystem as it passes over the Atlantic. Outside, in fact, heat index values across southeast Texas up to 105 in Bel Air. Coming up, I'll let you know if there's any relief. A little bit hazy as well. You can take a live look from our Loyalty Plumbing camera where you can see no weather concerns other than that intense heat. Actual air temperature climbing into the lower and mid 90s. Right now, 93 here in Houston, 88 for our friends down on the island. Factor in the humidity, and it feels like 100 in Galveston, 103 out in Tomball. So dangerous heat, but it is below the heat advisory criteria. We still recommend taking heat precautions. Your car wash forecast as we go over the next few hours. We're not expecting any sort of rain chances in the next week, but I'll tell you what, it's going to be hot if you're washing it before sunset. By 7 o'clock, 90 degrees, feeling like 100. But I'll tell you what, use that hose, spray yourself off a little bit. That should certainly help. You'll notice as we go over the next few days, really a rinse and repeat every single day. Sunshine, high temperatures reaching the mid 90s. We're not expecting a whole lot of change as we look ahead to the weekend, but I'll tell you what, into next week, we are tracking Saharan dust. Bill, this has traveled thousands of miles from Africa, but I'll have more details on that coming up.
We know you will. All right.
In Houston, we know you got to dress appropriately. Loose fitting, lightweight clothing, dry fit clothing, anything you can do to try to stay cool.
I was going to say, and you've been very vocal about being proactive before you even head out there, right?
Yeah, pre-hydrating. Drink is hot, it is humid, and the reason why this is happening is a high pressure ridge. This is building, and you'll notice it's pushing its way off towards the east. As it does, that's settling over us here in Texas. When you have a high pressure system, it creates sinking air. That means it compresses the air. Think of it like a bike tire. It's going to heat it up, but also sinking air. You don't have a whole lot of clouds building when you've got sinking air, and that's why rain chances all but squashed. In fact, over the next 5 days, you can see that's that high pressure heat dome. Not only is it heating us up, but it's really going to be preventing us from seeing a whole lot of rainfall. This time of year, we're also usually keeping an incredibly close track on the tropics, and right now, no tropical development expected over the next 7 days. Certainly encouraging news, and a big reason why. Actually going to be Saharan dust. This is dust that picks up during the African monsoons. The trade winds then travel it thousands of miles across the Atlantic until it enters the Caribbean and eventually the Gulf. So you can see a big plume crossing over the Atlantic, reaching the Caribbean by Friday. What this dust does is it dries out our atmosphere. I like to think of it like a cedar wood chip. If you throw it on the ground, that's going to absorb all of the moisture. Dust does the exact same thing in the atmosphere, and without that moisture, you don't see thunderstorms, hurricanes, or tropical storms. Here's a concern, though, that dust is going to be pretty thick and enter Houston's atmosphere Monday and Tuesdays. Instead of feeling like 105, we only feel like 100, but let me tell you, 100 is 100. It is hot outside. It is humid out there. We've got a mix of sunshine and cloud cover. Actual air temperature sitting in the upper 80s, lower 90s. Currently 93 degrees out in Tomball, 92 in Conroe, but factor in that humidity. It feels about 5 to 10 degrees warmer. Tomball feeling like 102, feels like 106 for our friends out in Washington County. So tonight, if you are looking for an outdoor activities, anything with water, splash pad, swimming pool, car wash, not a bad idea. We're not tracking any rainfall as we head through the rest of the week and weekend. Temperatures, though, certainly on the toasty side by 7 o'clock, 88 degrees. One thing to remember, if you are washing the car, make sure you dump out that bucket when you're done, because any standing water, that'll be a breeding ground for mosquitoes. And as we head through the weekend, hot, dry. Lisa, Joel, as we go every single day, really just going to be a rinse and repeat.
Okay, Caroline, we appreciate it. Thank you.
It's not that bad. I wear a jacket most of the summer because I'm inside the studio, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Of course,
But
not
some
everybody has
people got
AC.
work outside and
Got
everything.
those cooling centers.
Yeah, and if you do have to work outside, we feel for you. Certainly make sure you listen to your body, take breaks over the next few days. Not going to see any relief. And this keeps us hot, this keeps us dry, and you can see as we go through the next few days, it's actually going to be pushing its way further towards the east. As it pushes closer to Texas, this is going to be increasing temperatures, but also reducing any sort of rain chances. Will also decrease cloud cover. When you have a high pressure system, that leads to sinking air. That compresses the air, which heats us up, similar to a bike tire, but also without the rising motion, you're not going to see as much cloud cover. In fact, rainfall forecast over the next 5 days, you can see this is that heat dome we're talking about. Same area that doesn't have any forecast rain chances over the next 5 days. As for the tropics this time of year, always keeping a close eye on it. And thankfully right now, no tropical development expected over the next 7 days, at least here in the Atlantic basin. And a big reason why is actually the Saharan dust. We've been tracking it as it makes its way across the Atlantic. It travels thousands of miles, and you can see a very large plume that's going to be passing through the Caribbean as we head into the day on Friday and then entering the Gulf into Saturday. This is going to be pushing into Houston Monday and Tuesday. That means skies will likely get a little bit milky, and unfortunately, air quality also likely will be reduced. If you suffer from respiratory problems, we're likely going to recommend you stay indoors as much as possible Monday and and Tuesday. This high pressure system is going to dominate our forecast for most of the upcoming week, but by the middle of next week, about a week from now, that's when we'll start to see the high pressure back off, and this is going to allow the possibility of rain chances to work its way back only 100 as opposed to 105 like what it was this time yesterday. So still dangerously hot, both of them underneath heat advisory criteria, but this time of year the heat can sneak up on you incredibly fast. So we urge you, please be careful. A live look from our GenPro.com camera, you can see a mix of sunshine and cloud cover, a little bit of haze in the atmosphere. 93 here in Houston, 89 in Angleton. Factor in that humidity, feeling anywhere from 99 to 100 degrees. Livingston feels like 102. So please be careful in that heat. Jogging forecast, the later you jog, the better. Sunset tonight at 8:30 p.m. And then as we head through the overnight hours, still going to be muggy and buggy. In fact, waking up Thursday morning in the upper 70s, and then every single afternoon, really a rinse and repeat. We're not going to see a whole lot of changes. Forecast high 94, warm to start, hot in the afternoon. Factor in the humidity at about 10 degrees. In fact, Lisa, Joel, our big change is going to be dust next week, but more on the forecast haze coming up.
Okay, I look forward to the dust. Thank you very much.
Yes, because the dust is going to be moving in as we get into next week. That's going to dry us out. It could have air quality impacts, a lot to get to. And quite frankly, that's really the only big change. Otherwise, every single day, nearly a repeat of the day before. Certainly humid, certainly uncomfortable and dangerous. The reason why is because of this high pressure system situated over Mexico. As this shifts its way to the east, this is going to be increasing our heat here in Houston. Not only will it make us hot, but it's going to keep us dry as well. When you've got a high pressure system or a heat dome that's building, this suppresses any rainfall. That's why when you look at our rainfall forecast over the next 5 days, you can see that's the heat dome. This is where we're not forecasting any rainfall, and temperatures are going to get pretty hot. Now, thankfully, we're okay without rainfall. We had so much rain since the beginning of May that we actually are no longer under a drought here in Houston. In fact, tomorrow we're going to get an updated drought monitor and of Saharan dust. Now I'm going to dive more into this in a bit, but let me show you our forecast, because this deeper brown color indicating a thick plume of dust that's going to be making its way into the Caribbean as we get into Friday. This will enter the Gulf on Saturday and then reach Houston as we go Monday and Tuesday. Now, because this is a thicker plume of dust, you're likely going to start to notice some milky skies and reduced air quality. Rain chances not going to be with us from now all the way through Tuesday. It's not until the beginning of July or the middle of next week that we'll start to see a 20% chance of showers returning into our forecast. So as we go over the upcoming week, every single morning, starting off muggy, buggy, upper 70s, lower 80s. Every afternoon, making it into the mid 90s with partly cloudy skies. You'll notice 2 World Cup games to be exceptionally hazy because of the dust.